begin this time with the Russia-Ukraine war, where a skyscraper in Moscow was today attacked by a drone for the second time in 2 days. The skyscraper is home to 3 Russian government teams. Staff have been told to work at home. Russia's defense ministry blames Ukraine for the drone strikes. Russia also says it destroyed 3 Ukrainian unmanned boats that were trying to attack 2 Russian ships in the Black Sea. Ukraine's presidential advisor, Mikhailo Podolyak, says there will be more unidentified drones, more collapse, more civil conflicts. He also said Moscow is rapidly getting used to a full-fledged war. Back here in Africa, we turn attention to the coup in Niger Republic, where the military government of Burkina Faso and Mali have now warned that any military intervention against last week's coup leaders in the country would be considered a declaration of war against their nations. We have a report on this.
Niger's neighbors issued a warning in joint statement read out on their national broadcasters days after West African leaders threatened to use force to reinstate the deposed president Mohamed Bazoum. The Burkinabe and Malian military authorities also said they refused, quote, to apply the illegal, illegitimate and inhumane sanctions against the people and authorities of Niger, end quote. The coup in Niger on July 26 has sent shockwaves across West Africa, pitting the country's former Western allies and regional bodies against other countries in the region. Niger's coup leaders, who have named General Abdurrahman Chiani, the former presidential guard chief, as head of state, said they overthrew President Bazoum over poor governance and discontent with the way he handled security threats from groups linked to Al-Qaeda and ISIS. The power grab, which marks the 7th military takeover in less than 3 years in West and Central Africa, drew immediate condemnation from the African Union, the United States, the United Nations, the European Union, and other powers. Regional bloc ECOWAS has imposed sanctions, including a halt in all financial transactions and a national assets freeze. It also said it could authorize force to reinstate President Bazoum, who observers believe is being held at his house in the capital, Niamey. In addition to Burkina Faso and Mali, Guinea's president, Mamadi Doumbouya, whose government was also the result of a coup, has also expressed disagreement with the sanctions recommended by ECOWAS, including military intervention.
Well, in the meantime, the French Foreign Ministry says plans to evacuate French citizens are underway in the West African state of Niger, days after President Mohamed Bazoum was overthrown by members of his presidential guard. On Sunday, supporters of the coup burned French flags and attacked the French embassy in Niger's capital, Niamey, prompting police to fire volleys of tear gas in response. And in reaction, French President Emmanuel Macron said any attacks on French interests in Niger would be met with a swift and uncompromising response. According to the Foreign Ministry website, there were fewer than 1,200 French nationals in Niger in 2022. Italy's foreign minister also said on Tuesday that the government would arrange a special flight to repatriate nationals from Niamey, the capital of Niger, after a military takeover took place in the African state. France has had troops in the region for a decade, helping to fight armed groups. But some locals say they want the former colonial ruler to stop intervening in their affairs. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has strongly condemned the suicide bombing at a political rally in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province in Pakistan, which claimed the lives of at least 54 people. A UN spokesman said this, and that the UN chief called on the Pakistani authorities to bring those responsible to justice. Farhan Haq, who's deputy spokesman for Mr. Guterres, told a regular press briefing. The Secretary General extends his heartfelt condolences to the families of the victims and wishes a prompt recovery to those injured. He said the Secretary General denounced all instances of terrorism and deliberate targeted attacks against civilians, and that he stands in solidarity with the government and people of Pakistan in combating this scourge. The Islamic State on Monday claimed responsibility for the suicide attack on Sunday.
And I can say that the Secretary General strongly condemns the suicide bombing at a political rally in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, which reportedly claimed the lives of at least 54 people and injured approximately 83 people. The Secretary General extends his heartfelt condolences to the families of the victims and wishes a prompt recovery to those injured. He calls on the Pakistani authorities to bring those responsible to justice. The Secretary General denounces all instances of terrorism and deliberate, targeted attacks against civilians and stands in solidarity with the government and the people of Pakistan in combating this scourge.